Welcome back, everybody. This is Mandy from Hope Designs, and I'm going to do kind of a funky looking swipe. So this is my house paint. I did get it on the oopsie shelf, and my dog started snoring, if you heard that. That was really loud. Anyway, I got it on the oopsie shelf at Home Depot, and it was kind of thick, and I also noticed it was kind of a one that dries a little faster, so I mixed it with a little bit of water to thin it down and some GAC 800. And what I'm mixing here is one of the new Prizm pour colors, which is the Ceylon Cinnamon. And I get asked a lot how I mix it, and I had to speed this video up a lot, but I wanted to mix it. All I did is there's a little bit of Bloom pouring medium in that little cup, and I just added paint until I got the consistency I was looking for. To say that that color is gorgeous is an understatement. So now I'm just adding a little bit of the primary elements interference gold into a small batch of pouring medium. With any Colourarte pigment or primary elements color, if you mix it into about a third of what you're ultimately going to use, just mix up your pigment really well. Once it's dispersed in there, just add more of your pouring medium until you get the consistency that you're looking for. Super simple. So that's what I'm doing there. I just basically added more pouring medium to it. And the only other pigment I'm going to mix, everything else I already had mixed up, is I'm going to mix up a little bit of the Butter Toffee from the Puttin' on the Glitz Primary Elements set. And the Puttin' on the Glitz, if you're not familiar with them, are the semi-opaque pigments. They're super sparkly and they're really, really beautiful. So as you can see, this canvas has been swiped from a pour gone wrong. So here I'm showing you some of the paints I'm going to use. I'm going to use Phthalo Turquoise by Golden. This color right here is Chrysocolla, also from the new Prizm pour, and you cannot even see how beautiful it is from this angle. And again, my dog is snoring right next to me, so sorry about that. Also using Quinacridone Blue Violet from Liquitex Soft Body, and the Blissful Bordeaux from the Puttin' on the Glitz set, which is kind of a wine type shade similar to the color of the paint that I'm going to use. I've toyed with using Autumn Leaf, which is what you saw me compare to the Ceylon Cinnamon just now, but the colors, they're not similar, but they're similar enough to where I decided to go with Butter Toffee so that it wouldn't just be two kind of reddish hue browns. I wanted to maybe add in something that would contrast a little bit or complement the other color. So that's what I did. I tend to use too many colors, as I'm sure you know if you follow our channel. Using the Sheleeart recipe, I'm just going to be swiping. So if you haven't taken the Sheleeart class, there's a 15% off promo code in the description box below. There's also a 20% off everything from the Colourarte website in the description box below. I love using the Bloom recipe more than probably anything else, and I really love doing swipes. So in the last few days, I have been trying to go bigger on my blooms, and I've been having a very frustrating several days of painting. So last night, my husband was doing homework, and it was just me and my stepdaughter in here, and I told her I needed to do something that was going to be successful, so I was going to go for a swipe. I will tell you, I thinned down the paint quite a bit because that house paint is really, really thick, like really, really thick. And so I very slowly mixed in just a little bit of water, not a lot. And because I was concerned about that rapid drying thing that I didn't notice when I bought it, I added probably a fair amount of GAC 800, not a ton, but just enough to get it to a reasonable pillow consistency. I did not put enough of it down, which is, I either put way too much pillow or not enough. I can't tell you how many swipes I have overstretched until they're kind of wonky looking because of not putting too much pillow down. Inversely, when I do blooms, I tend to put too much down and then it messes up my composition. Also, I can tell that I should have gone all the way to the edge of the sides because getting my corners was increasingly difficult. I have sped this video up during the tilting process like 6 times its normal speed because it took so long to get to the corners. So learn from my mistakes. I don't know that there's a perfect science to it, but I think I definitely should have had the entire middle covered with pillow paint there to safely get to the edges, especially the corners are the most difficult to get to. So, and I know that, I should have added more pillow toward the outer edges for sure. So anyway, I had intended to use this canvas for a swipe after whatever I last did went wrong. I think it was a Dutch pour gone wrong. And I already had the canvas taped up in the back, and I already had the push pins in the bottom and all of that. So I was like, instead of using another canvas, let me just go ahead and use this. However, these colors are so pretty together, but I think I would like to see them on a smaller canvas. I think a smaller canvas would have had much better composition, but I ultimately really like the colors. And I have to remember that most people don't know what you meant to do. And so they're not always going to look at it and be like, oh, I can see that you overstretched this. So we let it live. It's going to end up being resined. It will probably be really pretty. These colors together are so incredibly beautiful. I have tried to make things with them since. I ended up making a set of coasters with them today because I got really frustrated after I tried to do a 6-inch canvas that started off great and stretched out not great. I'll probably still share it with you. And I was like, these colors, if I get the composition right, are going to be so pretty. So I was about to wrap up painting for the day and I went ahead and made some coasters. So here's copper cell activator. I know I have been on quite a copper cell activator kick lately, and I toyed with the idea of going with light gold or something, but I was like, copper would just be perfect for these colors. So I mixed it up, and you can see there that I put it on the edge of that little paint card, and I'm kind of starting in the middle, kind of doing some funky swiping with still having a little negative space. There was more negative space than I like. I kind of did that on purpose because of the background color being kind of this yellowy tan color, because I thought, well, maybe that will look intentional. But I wish I had used wider pieces and maybe separated the negative space a little bit. Oh, well, it doesn't matter. You can't see from here how beautiful the cells are. They will later get overstretched, I'm sad to say. I have been thinning out my cell activator from like a 3-to-1 ratio to like a 3.5-to-4 ratio, especially with metallics. It was a little thin, which it didn't really impede anything here. But what I've noticed on some pieces I've done since then is the copper or the cell activator would kind of sinking into the paint. So I thickened it up a little bit today before I did the set of coasters, and the cell structure was a lot better. So I didn't thicken it up much. So I think 3.5 times Floetrol, or 3.5 parts Floetrol to 1 part paint might be the sweet spot for me. I don't know. I'm still tweaking it. And, like just when you think you've got it, something will change. The weather, something else, and it won't work the same. But anyway, maybe this is my desire for easy finds and organization, but I even created cell activator playlists on our channel because sorry about my big head. As an artist, I look at people's pieces sometimes for color inspiration, and I find myself trying to figure out what activators they use. And sometimes I want to use a certain cell activator and then build the piece around what I want to use. And so I thought, well, maybe it'll actually be helpful for our viewers if they can, watch what all we've done with copper and what all we've done with Payne's Gray and what all we've done with white, etc. It also is kind of a good reminder for me. So there are playlists now for certain cell activators that we've probably done more than once. Copper, of course, white, black, Payne's Gray, golds. I do blue violet and Prussian blue a lot. So if that is helpful for you, feel free. I will probably continue to kind of organize them that way. So by now you can probably see what I mean about some of the swiping being a little thin. I feel like it just kind of made everything look kind of stripy. But in the tilting process, because we have to tilt so very much to get those corners covered, it totally ends up changing the composition. And so I think it sort of still works. It definitely turns out different than what I had in mind. But again, this is a level 1 canvas, a 10 by 20. This was not as much of a risk as maybe I would have taken if this was like a gallery wrapped canvas or something. So this was good for practicing, using oopsie paint on purpose just to try things out. So ultimately I like it. I would like to do these colors on a smaller one with a different composition, maybe more of a swirling swipe, or I don't know. I'm just rambling at this point because I'm really tired. But so now we're trying to tilt it. And I apologize because it's really hard to stay in frame with a canvas that size. But you can probably see some of those colors a little bit better as we start to tilt. They're really beautiful together. They complement each other really well. The kind of the teal, aqua teal, and like the wine colored plum type purple colors together with that Ceylon cinnamon and that toffee color and the copper. Cell activator just really kind of pulls it all together. Really, really beautiful. I did use Prussian blue, I think, on the very bottom, because Prussian blue is a sort of semi-transparent color, and it sort of stretches out to be like a deep teal. So I think I used that right on top of the interference gold. But I mean, the colors are just beautiful together. My only regret is really just the sacrificing of the cell structure and the composition because of having to overstretch. So, it's a learning process, right? But you can already kind of see that to get to the corner, we're having to really tilt to the point of getting kind of a weird feathery diagonal thing. So I just sort of embraced it, and it became sort of like we swiped that way on purpose. And if I had thought about it, I probably would have swiped diagonal across the canvas a little bit, but whatever. I still like it. Hopefully you enjoy it. There's a lot of things we would do differently after we do something. So, and it's so funny to me to see the paint moving the way it is, because by this point it had been on the canvas for so long, it was starting to dry out a little bit on the edges. Now my dogs are going to make a whole bunch of noise, sorry. It had started to dry out, and so it was really hard to stretch at this point. And so to see it moving so fluidly is only because it's sped up about 5 or 6 times the normal speed. So, but you can see how we're losing our cell structure at this point. We're probably like 40 minutes into this pour at this point, and you can see we still have some really pretty lacing. The middle is pretty, but you can definitely see how stretching to get those corners and get the edges is impacting the composition. And let me tell you, when the canvas is bigger, even though it's light, I can't tell you how many times I ran house paint across the corner, or I bumped it into something. I was trying to show my stepdaughter something, and then the one corner that was completely covered and looked great, I hit it with the tripod, and I'm gonna have to fix it. It probably looks fine to most people, but I'm probably gonna have to do some sort of glazing or something over it just to blend it. And then when I was setting it down to dry, I think I tapped a corner. I was like, come on. So I think maybe I just need to work on some smaller stuff. I kind of like this size though, because if you have like a weird, awkward like nook place on your wall, like above a sink or above a countertop, not a countertop, but above a sink, or like you have a little shallow space on your wall, but you may not have a huge space. A 10 by 20 canvas is sometimes like exactly what you need. I used to love these, and I would buy them all the time to paint on. And so I still have quite a few of them. And so I kind of like the size, but it is kind of awkward when you're tilting. I will say that. So the one thing that kind of ends up bugging me is the composition starts to sort of diagonally chase from the top right, from my angle, I guess bottom left for yours, toward the other angle, kind of catty corner to it. But I can't stretch enough off. So we end up having this like straight up and down stripe against all this angle. And my stepdaughter said she likes it like that. So I stopped trying to get it over the edge. I was like, if I could just get this one part over the edge, it would look like we did this on purpose. But I couldn't. So it is what it is. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this experiment. If you are watching for the first time, some of our pieces look better than this, but the colors are super beautiful. And please like and subscribe, leave a comment, let us know where you're watching from. Social media links are listed below. This piece will be available for purchase after it's resin, so if you're interested, feel free to send us a note. Our Etsy shop is also listed below. I'm kind of bad about updating things on Etsy though, so send us a note if you're interested. Here's your close-up. You can see how beautiful the colors are together. You can see how I lost a lot of the composition and the stretching. Still really pretty, but the colors together really honestly make this a success in its own way. They're just really, really beautiful colors. I can't tell you enough how beautiful the Prizm pour colors are. I hope to do a better job showing you soon. Thanks for watching.